Hey everybody, how you doing? I'm Pabs, a writing artist and a VTuber, and today we are going to be drawing a thumbnail for a program we are conducting on Sunday. Now, I'm not sure why I called it a program we're conducting on Sunday, as if I'm like, as if this is going to be some kind of musical arrangement or whatnot. But I am looking forward to drawing this one. I think the concept is pretty interesting. So, we found out last time on Esoteric Ebb the reason why we drowned and fell into the river. So I think that would make a pretty good thumbnail concept, just like us falling into the water. So let's go ahead and draw that. Now you might notice that I have here a picture of an ice cube from Shutterstock. And quite frankly, I didn't find a lot of other pictures that were much better. Like, for some reason, objects being thrown into water heavy style, just like very dense, big objects falling into the water, just not very, and like capturing the moment of impact. Not a lot of still images that I could find. I might have better luck if I'm trying to look up like videos or something. But I honestly think that this is sufficient. Because I think in this smaller environment, it's still possible to see the basis of like the dynamics really of liquids as they would fall. Also, I'm trying to angle it just so that the point of impact is matching the rule of thirds. So let's try this. Or actually, maybe it would be better if I just put the impact here, because I think then it might be a little bit less difficult to... Yeah, maybe if I could just kind of like... No, but I would need the impact to actually be fairly large. So I think maybe around here. So that way it's kind of intersecting in the middle here. That could work, I think. Okay. We'll lower the opacity on this layer and then... I don't know how to draw... Or actually, I'm not sure what like the surface above water would look like over like a river or an ocean. But what I do think is that we could probably get away with being pretty stylized on a lot of the water splashing and impact effects. Sort of like... like that. Yeah, I think that'll work. And then we can just have the thing kind of going like this. So I think the other thing we're gonna need is like the general shape of my character, because like if you see this ice cube here, it kind of creates an almost sort of tunnel for itself as it falls. So I think that's going to be important as a detail. I have implicit trust in crusty ass JPEGs from Shutterstock, because I feel like they don't try to lie to me. Like they're too crusty and old to be like AI generated. They have a sort of quaintness to them that I feel like is very wholesome in a strange way. You know how like nowadays people have like VHS filters and everything so that it looks like something was filmed on a VHS tape, even though it was shot with a digital camera? I think the concept is probably similar, in that something that has that kind of crusty JPEG thing feels more wholesome in a way, or at least it feels almost like a sort of throwback. Although I will admit that it would be more convenient to have a non-crusty JPEG. Can't win them all, I guess. It's always pissed me off that photo libraries aren't more accessible. I feel like your average schmuck should be allowed to just like slide Shutterstock $5 every month if he just wanted to use any number of pictures, right? That's always struck The thing is that that would really undervalue the work of the photographers, which I think is also a no-go. Like, I feel like there has to be a happy medium. And, there are some websites like Unsplash that do have, like, free picture libraries that are user-submitted. But, those can only get you so far. Those are going to be my little grubby hands, and this is going to be my pointy, sharp head. I look a little bit like some kind of caricature. Like, I feel like I could just do this to myself, and it would make, like... This could very easily be the author avatar of somebody who works for, like, Shonen Jump or something. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like I swear I've seen this animal before. Unfortunately, my helmet doesn't have eyes. It has a mouth, funnily enough. I don't know, I say my helmet doesn't have eyes as if that's like an atypical feature. 90% of helmets have eyes in some way or capacity because you kind of need them to see out of. I think the only ones that I can think of that don't really have much in the way of eye stuff are like frogmouth helmets, and even they have like a little bit of a tiny little opening, just a small one. I could probably stand to extend my legs a little bit and retract my arms just a tiny bit. I do think I might have to increase the size of my hands, though. Yeah, I think the legs definitely need to be a little bit longer. Like maybe by that much, and then maybe sliding this one back up a tiny bit. There we go. Okay, I think this is a better position for the hand. Okay. So looking at that other picture of a rock falling in, right? We can see that there's like a ton of bubbles clinging off of it. So I think maybe that's the move here. Sort of like this. I think that I feel like this is correct. Well, although I could be mistaken. I've been wrong before. There's almost like a little trail of bubbles that it leaves behind on this one. I also feel like it could probably be extended a little bit. Like, what if I put myself all the way back here? I think this would work, right? Okay, there we go. Yeah, I think something like that could work. Maybe just a tiny bit smaller and a little bit higher. Because I recently uploaded the last episode of this playthrough to YouTube, and the thumbnail turned out great, but because I put the logo around here, in the thumbnail for the video, it looks a little bit like it's being covered up by the time length of the video. So I'm hoping to avoid that this time. I don't think it'll be particularly difficult, but you know, better to avoid it where possible. I also think that I don't know why, but I think I need to rotate the kind of splash zone, if you will, a little bit counterclockwise. Yeah, I think that works pretty good. Okay. We'll ditch the grid and the reference for now. Let's copy and paste this to a new layer, and then you hit it with a Gaussian blur. God, the twist of who killed you in the game as well, I think is also just really funny. I'm not going to say what happened in it in case somebody's been avoiding the playthrough to not get spoiled on story events, but I do think it is just very funny who it is that kills you and the purpose why. Okay. We'll need to use the vector eraser. Okay, actually something that I should do is probably take another look at where the air bubbles are coming out of the rock, because if you look at it, it's almost like I think this is probably the air that was under the rock being displaced around it. I think. So it's almost like there's air covering it everywhere. Okay, then over here. No, I don't think that's going to work. I was going to try and make it so that half of me is covered in the air bubbles, but I don't think that should be the appropriate approach. Something tells me I should try something different. Then again, I did draw like 3 lines, so it could just be that I'm worried it's not going to turn out well. Okay, so then we're going to have the tunic kind of wrapping around the leg like this. I drew a similar thumbnail. This was from pretty far ago, so it's possible that people don't remember it. But it reminds me a little bit of that thumbnail that I drew for Cave Story, where I'm falling through a bunch of petals. Okay, here we go. Come on, there we go. That'll do at least. I was gonna say it might have a similar theme, but I don't think that's necessarily true. I just think they have a similar composition, and my brain is making connections between the two of them that might not really be there. And I know I'm not doing that on purpose. You know what I mean? Sometimes you'll run into a composition, and you'll be like, "Oh wow, this is probably trying to evoke an earlier painting or drawing that the artist has made in order to create some kind of parallel between the events, right?" And you'll feel very smart for having spotted that. And you should feel smart because it means that you're really engaging with the art and trying to acknowledge it as a whole rather than as an individual piece. Because in reality, there are no two pieces that are disconnected. Either one influenced the other by being drawn first, or one was influenced by the other by being drawn second. Being able to take departures from the history of things that you've drawn is much more difficult than it sounds. It'll be sort of like trying to learn how to walk from first principles. And not only that, but once you learn how to walk, you need to, like, it's not even relearning how to walk, it's relearning how to walk, and also your new walk can't resemble your old walk whatsoever. If you put it in those terms, it feels almost impossible, right? Not only because of the fact that your body, in the way you walk, is probably suited to your body, but just because of the muscle memory that's involved. Like, you would have to have something very dramatic happen to you in order to change your identity as an artist. Also, now I'm looking at it, the hand's a bit big. I need to reduce that in size. And also maybe lengthen the arm. It is, I don't know why, but the idea that you could just kind of tuck the chainmail into the gloves, like it's a sweater, is really funny to me. That's probably absolutely not how it works, but I do think it would be funny. Hmm. Something like this. Or actually, couldn't I just have the hood up? Because I feel like then it almost makes sense to have it like this. Right? I feel like the hood would go over the head in these circumstances. Okay, and then put this here. Very nice. Then we're just going to put this here. Nice. I think that fits pretty well. Ooh, okay. I was thinking about how I would make the change between the surface of the water and the depth of the water, but I think this could work, having this kind of spiral connecting them. Or maybe that should be for the coloring phase. Maybe so. Or, we could try a little bit of a combo. And then we'll add a second one here. Very nice. Oops. Hang on, that one needed to be joint. Maybe this one needs a little bit more jointing before we erase it. Okay. Then we're going to expand this one a tiny bit. There we go. And now we can actually... I noticed that I have stabilization on pretty high, which I think could be helped a lot with drawing the spirals, but I don't think we need it for this next part. Also, this spiral could be slightly longer. Me, when I was Junji Ito's editor, circa... Quickly tapping to my to my browser to find out when Uzumaki was written. Me when I'm Junji Ito's editor from January 19th, 1998 to August 30th, 1999. I should probably try and read Uzumaki or the other works of Junji Ito at some point. I feel like I would really vibe with them because I like shorter stories. And I feel like a lot of them are one-shots or shorter stories in that vein. Okay, then this is going to go like this. I wanted to make this line a little bit straighter because I feel like it would suit the impact that this is trying to create. Okay, clean up this part and that part. Something like that. I don't even know what I'm doing with the with the splashing water. I'm trying to think of times when I've seen something big get dropped into the water, but despite verifiably doing it quite a few times growing up, nothing's coming to mind. Like we've all done it as kids, right? Where we found like the biggest rock our little hands could carry, and then we just dunked that shit into the lake. No full send and no holding back. I feel like that's a pretty universal experience unless you were too weak to lift rocks, which can happen. But I feel like even as a child, you'll just find like the biggest rock you think you can feasibly carry, and then you'll just like let it dunk into the water. Ooh, I like that one. Okay, then over here. And then we can add a heap of these little water droplets. If nothing else, I think they help to add to the impact of something big and heavy falling to the water. I feel like if I assumed the proper cannonball stance, I would make a pretty satisfying dunk sound when I hit the water. Like, I don't know, I feel like my density and body composition just really is like the maximal is maximally suited for that kind of activity. Not to brag or anything. I make a better splashing sound than you when I hit the water. It feels like such a 5-year-old fucking thing to say. That's very much like a very youthful boast. But I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. People always talk about staying young or maintaining that sense of childish wonder, right? Maybe we just need to cannonball into water more often. I think it's been actual literal years since the last time I went swimming, so I might be due for something related to it. I don't know. I don't have a lot of opportunities to go to pools, and I'm a little bit worried still because of, like, health risks and whatnot. COVID really changed who I am as a person. I used to jump into any old body of water that I thought I could swim in. Like, there was somewhere even I would be like, yeah, no, that's way too nasty. No, that's a no-go for me. But, like, I used to be willing to jump into beaches that were absolutely not, like, suitable for human swimming. Maybe that's why I have all my freaky mutant powers. Who knows? Okay. There we go. Yoink, yoink. I think we could probably keep this one, but just make it smaller. And that way, yeah, it almost like joins up with the... I don't know, how would that look? Let's... Ooh, that's very nice, actually. Quite liking that. Okay, we can probably do something similar for this one where we can just kind of cram it down. Maybe lengthen it a little bit. Nah. Maybe something like this, though. I'm quite liking that. What do you think? I think it's gonna have more impact once it's fully colored, but... Yeah, and maybe just adding more... More of these air bubbles that are escaping. I don't know, is this gonna obscure the hand too much? Yeah, I think it will. Okay, forget the air bubbles then. We can probably erase this one too. I don't think it's gonna create that much of an impact. Well, maybe we could try to add something like that. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. I think this one probably looks better. Okay, so if we flip this sideways, how's that gonna look? Interesting. I almost feel like I need to kind of do it this way. I've learned to trust my instinct on this sort of thing. But I don't know. The arm also looks a little bit funny. I think it's because it's turned to the opposite side from the one on the left. Oh yeah, I guess it's also just the fact that it's the armhole doesn't make any sense. Okay, erasing this part. Then like this. Okay. Okay, that makes sense, sort of, I think. Being an artist really is a lot of guesswork. Not in terms of just saying, okay, this is probably, I'm trying to visualize this, so I'm going to need to try and do this, maybe. But also just, yeah, this hand is probably fine. This hand looks reasonably accurate. Okay. I do think maybe bringing back a little bit of the air bubble might be wise. Okay. Maybe actually just moving this one a little bit like this. I think this could work. No, that doesn't look right either. But this doesn't... Yeah, this also looks weird, right? Something about this isn't sitting right with me. What if I just kind of... No, that's all. Trying to use straight lines in this kind of water explosion is what got us into this mess in the first place. I need to step away from that. Okay. I think I'm seeing the vision a little bit. Nope. Maybe if I flip it around, I'll understand a little better. Ah, maybe that's it. Maybe the whole thing is wonky. Hang on. Let's start from 0 here. Okay. Yes, okay. Maybe? I don't... maybe not so okay. Hang on. No. Definitely not okay, because... Or actually, maybe this could stay a little bit. I mean, no. I mean... So, here's the thing, right? We need to clearly delineate the area of the splash, which would be kind of a... Which, in my mind, I'm envisioning kind of a brighter white color, due to just the nature of that's how ocean spray looks. So I'm thinking maybe we need to have... No, that's not it. Something like that. Okay, we'll we'll scale this part down, and then... Cool. Or, almost cool. We're almost cool. So, okay, let's flip this back. Put this into perspective. We definitely can't have this one doing what it's currently doing, but I think we can compensate. I think this one might actually work better. Yeah, hang on. This'll do. Something like this, and then maybe extending this part a little bit. Nice. Okay. I think this can work. What I do think might be necessary is a few more lines just around this area. Like so. Come on, bud. Maybe increasing the stabilization will help a little. Yeah, I think this is something. Okay, and then we extend this one a little bit so we can connect it to this part. There we go. That's looking pretty good, if I do say so myself. This one can probably use a little bit of a tune-up, though. Whoop. Actually, I don't know. Do you feel more comfortable when you see more of the screen like this? I feel like I can probably manage to some extent just because of the fact that I use my numpad to control the buttons that I press. So I feel like that this could probably be useful in situations where I don't really need to switch quickly from one multi-tool to the other. In those kinds of circumstances, maybe this minimalist approach is better. I don't know. What's everybody think? I do say this just as I'm about to enter the coloring phase, which is probably the one that's most intensive to using the sidebar, so maybe not the best time to ask. Okay. So here's what I'm thinking. Underneath this, we create another layer with maybe like this kind of darker blue color for the ocean. And then this top layer here can be that kind of same sky blue that we've been using for a lot of the other streams, like the last one, this one. What do we think? Heat or nah? Okay, we do need to unfortunately go back to the line art layer and add a linkage here just so that it doesn't clash too much. I think also that maybe the blue on this layer needs to have a slight adjustment in terms of, yeah, like this. And then maybe as it goes further down and deeper, we can then kind of color shift it to this darker blue. I think that looks pretty good, honestly. I don't know, I'm liking that. Maybe a slightly different color for the sky blue, though. Because I do feel like while it would be thematically relevant, I do think I'm maybe doing too much with it. Oddly enough, I think it's more readable as water when I have... Hang on. I do think it is more readable as water when I have... Hang on. When I have it as this brighter blue. Can I... There we go. For some reason it wasn't changing back to the hand command. I think it's because I accidentally hit the numlock key. Also, I'm going to try an experiment and see what happens when I erase this part here. I don't know, I think it gives it a lot of readability for what's happening, even though it is just one simple curve. Okay, we're just gonna quickly... I think it's pretty funny that I ended up not doing very much with the... I ended up paring down the design for the overcoat quite a bit. So now it's just a very uniform green. I should probably use the episode 1 reference for it, though. Because I feel like it might have changed over time. I've been recently thinking that I really need to start drawing better references for the things that I draw consistently. Mostly just so that I don't lose track of things like head shape or specific details and such. I need to fix this a little bit here. It's like a little bit, just a tiny bit. It's really bugging me. There we go. The way it was curving in on itself just really didn't sit right. This is much better. Okay. Was this the same color, or was it a slightly different one? I think it was slightly different. Okay, now we're going to take this and we're going to make it blue. So, gradient map. You are going to be blue now, that's my attack. That being said, we're only going to apply it as a blending layer. There we go. I think another thing that we could do to probably improve some of the readability for this is to make some of these lines in the middle part here into the same kind of seafoam white. Just being very careful not to nick the edges here. I think this one might... Wait, here we go. I was gonna say, I think this one might just be mathematically impossible, given the size of the pen, but I somehow did it. This could work pretty well. Actually, why don't we make the whole thing below the... Ooh, nope, 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 nope. Too ambitious by far. On a smaller scale, though, I think it could work. Okay. I don't know, I feel like some of the impact is lost on the bubbles when their line is erased like this. I might go back and undo those. Yeah, I think that's a good move. Okay. Yeah, I think just around the bubbles is where we'll need to erase the... or add back the line art. just shearing off the minimal part here. Okay, nice. And I think what I might do is I might just erase the lines here. Not necessarily... How do I put this? Like, hang on. Wait, couldn't I just kind of reach over and... blur? No. Or maybe, actually, I could. Hang on. So wait, filter, blur, Gaussian blur. Maximize that. That didn't really do much, I think. I do need to repair some of the lines here, though. Okay, and I think maybe... just kind of like this, I think would be the best way to do that. Okay, and then just making this part darker. I don't know, I feel like it's missing some kind of visual impact. I also think I might just erase the parts up here from getting the line art taken out, because I feel like it just creates a much better impact. Nice, okay. And I think the other thing we might be good to do is I think we can also just select the color for this and also add a gradient to that. Like this. I don't know. I think this looks pretty nice. I'm happy with it for the thumbnail at any rate. I feel like I want to try doing more stuff in this sort of art style where it can also rely on filled black for shadows, because I think it can create some very punchy graphics. But we'll see. So I'm just gonna plonk this up here. That took a little bit more than an hour. Yeah. I keep hemming and hawing over this line here. I think I might erase it. I think having that ambiguity is actually helpful. Okay. That's done. Now what should we do? I can't really think of anything else that I had on the docket for today. I really thought that this would take longer. I ended up taking some shortcuts here and there, but it ended up being for the best. I do think maybe taking out these two spirals might actually be beneficial looking at it again. Even this one. Actually, maybe severing the connection here would be good. We're gonna need to blend out this section, though. Hope it's not too noticeable. It's noticeable. It's very noticeable. There we go. That's much less noticeable. Although I do think that maybe we should just kind of erase the rest of the vector. Oh, jeez. I can feel like this is going to turn into a whole thing. Okay. There we go. And I think maybe for one final touch. See, this is why I try not to like get too wrapped up in things once I've hit the finish line, because otherwise I'll start like over seasoning them. Anyway, what I'm thinking is that I have this hatching effect that I wanted to use for a previous thumbnail for this series, but I didn't really get the chance, so I think maybe now would be a good time to bust it out. What do you think? I should probably do it on a different layer in case I dislike it. We can also probably extend the scale a little bit. I think that looks nice. Actually, I think I'm gonna go for the smooth gradient. Yeah, no, I think this looks better overall. Okay, I'll export this one and then... Gosh, what should we do, actually? This would be number 5, right? I think we've had 4 episodes of Esoteric Ebb so far. Yeah, this would be number 5. My eyes kind of... I was gonna say my eyes kind of hurt. I don't have eyes. Does looking at stuff ever get like, painful to you people? Like, sometimes I'm like, oh man, my head hurts, but in a very specific way. I bet this is what it would feel like if my head hurt. No, I do have a head, but I don't have eyes. I'm all over the place. Heavens above. Maybe I should just take a nap with the time that I've recouped. I don't know, it's not very lively today. I could also use a rest. I think I'm just gonna leave it be for today. Honestly, I'm gonna need to experiment in the future with certain ideas I have for a stream. Actually, come to think of it, maybe that's something we could do real quick. Just so I don't have to spend time on it another day. I've recently been looking into co-working streams because some circumstances have appeared where I think I would benefit from using the time that I would normally focus on art during streams instead for a slightly different purpose. But so yeah, I've been looking into making co-working streams. I've watched a couple of people's streams to try and get an idea of how I should set that up. So let me try figuring that out right now. I think me taking some time to kit bash a setup would not be amiss. Okay, so the main things that I've seen, you know what? I think we could probably just write these down. Okay, so thing one is a task list. Thing two is user task lists or viewer chat and task lists. Another thing that I've seen is that they usually have a music player, or they show what song is being played in the BGM. I need to turn down stabilization. It bugs me. It bugs me when I try to handwrite notes. What else is there? Sometimes they have a Pomodoro timer, but I don't think I'm going to be trying to use Pomodoros. Good to note, though. What else was there? Oh yeah, some of them have windows to a YouTube video or a loop video. Okay. So let's see. That would mean... Okay, so task list. I don't know. Could I just get... I feel like this is definitely... I'm not going to keep the VODs for these co-working streams, not only just because I would feel weird clogging the YouTube VOD channel with those, but also because I do think that in case like any of the material that I'm writing about or any of the notes that I'm taking end up being recorded through that video medium, I'm kind of concerned about like copyright and stuff. You know, which is normally isn't a source of priority for me, but like the thing is, textbook copyright bullshit is so much scarier than most other types of bullshit. Like even with like what do you call? Even with like music copyright stuff, I feel like it's not nearly as scary as textbook copyright stuff. I don't know. It feels like they could get my ass more easily. Has anybody else seen this Moonchild thing? Like, I feel like I've seen more of that little green bear this week than I have the faces of my own family, which feels wrong. I don't even like that joke. I don't know how to put it. Like every now and again, every so often, some meme will become popular that I won't find particularly funny, right? I actually, I think like the last time was like One Bad Galoop, right? I think that when that parody of Blueberry Faygo came up, I think that's the last time that I was like, I don't get why everybody's really into this. Like, I guess it is kind of catchy, but I'm not, I'm really not, I can't find it in myself to laugh. Actually, is there like such a thing as an OBS to do? Holy shit, there is. Yeah, no, straight up, there's like an OBS Pomodoro overlay. That's crazy to think about. Oh shit, okay. Quick start. You can add OBS to do your streaming software in less than 30 seconds. In the sources doc, click the plus icon and select browser. Can we just like add this? Damn. That's pretty handy. Okay, no wonder almost every other streamer that I saw using this had something like this. It's just that easy. Huh, okay. That's pretty handy. Huh. I don't know how to put it. Like, it's just impressive to me that that's just available. People really do think of everything, don't they? Okay. We can probably rid ourselves of that. So here's what I'm thinking, though. I think my little desk setup is actually perfect for this, but I do want to try to... Hang on. Okay. So maybe... I had it in my head that I could maybe try to set up my live camera to show my notes, to show me writing down my notes, right? But at the same time, I'm not sure how, again, just because of like textbook copyright stuff, I'm not sure how feasible that is. I don't know. It's never really frightened me before, and like I said, I'm not really keeping these VODs, so... but on the other hand, keeping any video evidence at all makes me nervous. I could just delete the VOD right after it's finished. That's also a possibility. It's things like this that could cross over into... So I consider this more of my professional life than my private life, which is why I'm so nervous about crossing those streams. But I do think that just given the kind of time and attention that I can dedicate when I'm live, I do think it's worth looking into trying to set that up. Oh! Wait, I know. What if I try to... Okay, this could be really funny. I'm gonna say, what if I try to, like... What if I applied a Gaussian blur filter to the live camera source? Do you think maybe that... Would that be doing too much? Or is that permissible? Is that, like, taboo at all? I think that could work. I would have to... I don't know. No, surely not, right? I mean... No. But I think it might help. So, okay, so maybe... Hang on. So, maybe I could add a filter over it, too? I'm trying to rack my brain because I feel like this could be pretty funny if we handle it right. Like, if we, like, use some kind of bizarre chroma key on the notes, I think it would be really funny, but I don't know if that's conducive to the environment that I'm trying to cultivate here. Unless... Unless... What if we kind of try and play that to a strength? Because, okay, so picture this, right? The whole... So I'll be like... Okay, so let's try and draw a very simple notebook and a handwriting notes. Okay, so bear with me here. So we could have this line. It would naturally be a lined notebook. And you'd be writing like yada yada yada, yada yada yada, yada yada yada. However, all of this would be blurred strongly. So it would be pretty much unintelligible. That would be the main goal. Then on top of that, on like another separate layer, and I'll have to try to... I have an idea for how to make this work, but it's gonna be real. It's gonna be really funny if it doesn't work, but it's also gonna be really funny if it does. There we go. Okay, I'm gonna shrink this down like maybe to this size. And then I'm also going to create a second one down here. I actually widened them a little bit. Why not? I don't know if that would help focus though, because I'm I'm like trying to do like these methods of secrecy to kind of overcome the idea that I would have to do to overcome like the barriers of privacy. I feel like this is probably what those people who like upload episodes of anime to YouTube, but like with a really thick border and and like pauses every 15 seconds. Must be like the kind of mindset that they're on. So okay, so for context, down here would be like me, right? I did recently acquire, upon Zet's recommendation, a game called Go, which might be helpful for this as well. Okay, maybe not that. Maybe not there specifically. But yeah, I would pretty much be in this, pretty much the same position, just yapping away down here. This would be the communal to-do list. So we'll have one square here, one square here, one square here. Yes, yes. Or wait, the check boxes go in the box. Right, we would check the box, hence the name. Okay. Okay. This feels like it could be coming together pretty well. Okay, and then rules to do instructions. Okay, so this is one possible setup. Honestly, I'm not the biggest fan of it because I feel like this is all to justify the fact that I don't want my notes to be seen. Normally, I have no issue with spreading knowledge, which is why maybe this whole concept repulses me. Hmm. Maybe. Yeah, this is definitely overhandling it, right? Like, there's no way that this doesn't feel like I'm overhandling the setup in favor of trying to hide the notes that I'm taking. I don't know. Would flipping them backwards be sufficient? I'm trying to think because I feel like it would help a lot for accountability if I would have to be forcing myself to, like, if my note taking was on stream, and I could also do it to like do little doodles. I feel like that could be fun. I guess it would, as a fringe benefit, it would also encourage me to keep my desk clean. But I feel like that really should not be my priority. Well, actually, no, that should not be a priority. But it shouldn't take having to stream my desk twice a week to kind of enforce that idea, to enforce that habit. I don't know. Whatever gets you across the finish line, right? Hmm. Hmm. Actually, come to think of it, are there any websites that just do 24/7 live streams of trail cams or such? So hang on, trail cam feed. There's an entire website in Parks Canada about it. How about that? Yo, wait, pause. Hang on. Where's my browser source? Check this out. Bison Calvin Plains. What is this? Oh, this is through YouTube. Darn it. Okay, what about the bison watering hole? Okay, I think this one's live. Yeah, this one's definitely live. Waterton Lakes? Would you look at that? Oh, that's pretty charming. Animal face-offs? With no one behind the lens influencing wildlife behavior, remote cameras give us a rare opportunity to witness animals going about their daily lives. Occasionally, these cameras even give us a glimpse of how different species interact when they encounter one another. Skunk and cougar. Coyote. What's that in its mouth? I think is that a raccoon? I don't know. Wolf tries to take down a moose. Dumbass. It looks like the wolves are unsuccessful. Yeah, I'll bet. Okay, so those are remote cameras, not live webcams. I see. Yo! Fucking thing spotted. Oh, wait, that's a polar bear, isn't it? Okay, this is like oh my gosh, look at this fucking thing. Oh, dude, it must feel good as fuck to be a polar bear just chilling out on the plains like that. Holding out its spawn and everything. Bro has no cares in the world. Literally a stress-free animal right now. Oh, cute. Zen cams. Bees? This is a little bit tough to capture, huh? Space cameras. We got one of those? Oh, we sure do. This really is kind of... It's quite peaceful, isn't it? Okay, yeah. I'm seeing the appeal. What the turtle doing? I don't know. Is it just me or wildlife cam's kind of awesome? Is it going to jostle the camera when it goes by? Like, how do we not get completely bonked by the flippers? I'm guessing we're in some kind of tube or receptacle of some manner. Well, how did the turtle get here, by the way? Like, okay, if we go back, no turtle. If we go forward, no turtle. Wait, okay, there's some kind of fish there. Forward in time. I don't know. I can't. This thing's whole ass is in the way. I cannot discern whether or not the turtle is present. Do we have windshield wipers on this? Is that what I'm seeing? That's pretty innovative, actually. I like that. Okay, a little bit further ahead. I see the turtle. Okay, so at some point, while this fucking thing is blocking the camera. Okay. Ooh, this one has a BGM. Bella hummingbird nest. That sounds absolutely delightful. Oh my gosh. Well, would you look at that? Hello, little guy. Welcome to the world. Oh my god, you're barely the size of a fingernail, ain't you? Nature is beautiful. Oh, it's gotten like a very red belly now. God, it must be stressful as fuck to be a hummingbird, baby. Like, your house is so unstable, and when mom comes home, it's just shaking up and down. This really is quite lovely, though. Are there, like, copyright things for this? Oh, hang on. If we... Website sections, follow us, about us, grants awarded, feedback, press, maybe? Privacy policy? YouTube terms of service? YouTube API privacy policy? Okay, multimedia organization. Growing library consists of more than 250 original films. Wide range of topics. Okay, this is them in the news, which isn't really what we were looking for. Okay, this is for our privacy. Be careful when you share information with others. Yep, that makes sense. This is for YouTube, which isn't really what I'm looking for. Okay, here we go. YouTube API. Wait, huh? So wait, what is the, maybe I should contact them or something, I don't know. Like, are we just allowed to use this? Oh, frequently asked questions, here we go. Comment system, signed in to prove you're not a bot. Apply for a grant. Host an ad, equipment to use to live stream. Can't log into my account, worried about the health or safety of animals. Never call local authorities or animal control services on any of our cam locations. Best browser, best operating system, latest version of the app. I don't know how to use the website. Do you have a manual? Okay. Not hearing a lot of how to restream this or the... Oh, community guidelines, maybe? Common sense rules, hateful comments, incites anger towards animal or nature. Do not chastise the moderator. That makes sense. Promotion of products, personal fundraisers, or external campaigns. Not really what we're trying to do. Respect the platform, explores a special family, and we don't ever have to want to flag or ban users. That's not really, again, not really what I'm trying to do. Oh, here we go. Credit requirements for fan videos using footage from explore.org live cams. We know fans have a lot of creativity, passion, and skill. What follows are guidelines for using Explore footage for your videos. Non-commercial use only. Yep. Please use explore.org in the title of your video. Make sure watermark is intact and clearly visible. Link back to live cam your footage came in from in your description. Okay, so it sounds like it's kind of like a CC license where we have to have the title of this, like explore.org in the title of your video. Okay, yeah, and it owns the copyright to all live cam footage produced, and we assert the right to request a copyright takedown for any video. Okay. So sounds like that's a bust. Neat idea, though. And I'm sure if you actually have the wherewithal to add the explore tag to your video, I'm sure that could actually make quite a lovely overlay. Look at these little guys. Okay. Well, then, that's a bust, but not a bad idea, necessarily. Yeah, okay, let's give up on that for the time being. Other than that, what else could we do? Like I said, this is just one idea for a setup. We should probably have a space for chat, huh? In case people want to talk while we work. Okay, here's an idea. Similar setup to this. Hang on. Okay, so very similar in concept, perhaps dissimilar in execution. We have this here. This here. Maybe stretching them inwards a little bit. And we have this here. Actually, maybe squishing them to the left as well. Okay. So over here is again the to-do. This is again going to be me. I don't know why I keep drawing myself with my mouth open like I'm trying to catch flies. I will very much be doing little talking throughout these circumstances. And this will be the footage of the notes being taken. I do think if we do just need some kind of looping video for this to work, which could be trickier to arrange than I think. Extending this down to like over here. Yeah, this one could be the music track. And this one could be instructions for to-do list. And over here we'll have some bullshit. I like that not specifying that what the looping video is going to be of. It gives me some freedom to also use some random stuff as well. Like, theoretically, I could just loop Evo Moment 37 here. It's probably going to be like a rainy windowsill or something. Probably going to change depending on the circumstances. But this isn't a bad setup, I think. Oh yeah, chat. I need to remember to add chat here somewhere. Could we not maybe have chat like sideways scrolling? I feel like that would be a lot of fun. Did this pen get thicker? Oh, it's because I'm on... Oh, I know why. It's because I'm drawing outside of the thingamabob here. So hang on. If I try to do... Yeah, there we go. So let's try this. Quick lasso fill. Huh? Okay, maybe the Milli pen? Alternatively, I could just do some bullshit up here, too. I have had this idea for a long time that I could just add the sun popping in with a random message every now and again. I think that could be fun. Okay. I like this idea a lot more than the other one, mostly just because I don't think it doesn't feel nearly as fraudulent. And also we can exchange the looping video. They're pretty much the same thing, but I feel like it's much less... It's much more... This one feels much more neat. Okay, we'll go with this one then. It's a little after 8 right about now. I think I could use the rest of this evening to go ahead and get this stuff together. I don't think it'll take that long. I hope it doesn't take that long.